Mark, let's just get some context, first of all, to all of this. This was a base in Yorkshire that the Home Office thought might mitigate some of the numbers of migrants who are coming here, but that they could be housed there. But there were massive objections from the local community. Yes,
I mean, there is a huge and growing crisis in terms of the small boats that are coming across the channel. We're already at 18,500 this year alone, and that's not including those of the 28,500 from last year who are still in the system as well. All of these people, or most of these people, are being housed in hotel accommodation. It's costing £5 million a day. So Priti Patel had to come up with some kind of a solution that eased the burden on the taxpayer in terms of the money they're paying for hotels, and also wasn't taking all of these hotels out of use as well. And this was one way forward that the Home Office saw as a potential solution, part and parcel with the Rwanda policy of putting some asylum seekers over to Rwanda. Others would be housed en masse in the likes of old Ministry of Defence establishments like Linton on Ouse.
Which we're now seeing.
And you can see it's right next to the village there, Darren. The village runs along the perimeter fence of this old RAF base. It's only about 400 or 500 people in this village. They were very concerned about the impact on their community of housing 1,200 young men in their midst, because although they would be accommodated in the base, they're, of course, free to come and go, and many of them would be, according to the villagers, hanging around the village, which has no amenities other than one small shop in the village centre, and that is it. So you can understand the anxiety and upset that the villagers felt. Today, I've been speaking to the campaign group, they're absolutely delighted. But of course, that victory comes on the because of the Ministry of Defence pulling out of something that was agreed. Let's put no finer point on it. The Home Secretary has been stitched up by our colleagues in the Ministry of Defence because, as I understand it, the Ministry of Defence signed up to this deal in December of last year, cross-government deal, to allow this base to be used by the Home Office. Now at the 11th hour, because the first asylum seekers were due in next month, they have withdrawn the permission to use the base. And not only does that put the Home Office in a real predicament in terms of where do we house thousands of asylum seekers. This was part of our plan. We're looking for other sites as well. But in addition to that, of course, they had carried out preparatory work on that base. They'd had officials up there making sure that the accommodation was right for them. So they've already spent some considerable money in trying to prepare the base for use by asylum seekers.
Do we know why the MOD has changed its mind on this? Anyone's guess?
We've heard nothing from the Ministry of Defence. We've heard nothing from the Home Office as yet. This is just what I'm being told. It is true. We are expecting an announcement formally this afternoon. But what the reasoning is, there was a statement that was put out on another news outlet suggesting that the Ministry of Defence required it for other purposes. We've been trying to reach out to them. They haven't responded to us.
And this all, of course, as the strain mounts on the system in the sense that, you know, those numbers keep going up. Possibility is going to reach 20,000 by the end of this week. And, you know, we're only halfway through the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the policy that was announced with great fanfare in April by Boris Johnson and Priti Patel is now in tatters. That is not an overstatement. We have the plans for Linton on Ouse now abandoned, with Home Office scrambling about now to look for other suitable sites to accommodate these people, but they can't just rustle them up like that. They require a lot of preparation, providing you can find facilities that are big enough to do that in the first place. Then if you take the Rwanda policy as well, that's mired in legal challenges and going nowhere anytime soon. So their big plan to send potentially thousands of people off to Rwanda, which would be a big deterrent effect. And then the other plan, of course, in conjunction with that, to put people in significant numbers in these bases to reduce the cost and the burden on the taxpayer at a time when, you know, the government finances are struggling to cope. As I say, both planks are now in disarray.